Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. John-Henry Westen has responded to most of the allegations so far. He's got a video out. I'm going to play a large chunk of this video for you at 14 past the hour so you can hear it from him directly. His response to the big allegations that shook the LifeSiteNews organization in the last month is a big deal. But there's good news. It seems like things are going to move forward. Praise be to God. So I will talk about that at 14 past the hour and play that clip for you, and I'll link it for you in the show notes. But I also want to get back to talking about the persecution of Christians. Over the weekend, of course, we reported this, that over 40 Christians were killed by an ISIS-linked terrorist attack on the Congolese Catholic Church. Joining us 30 past the hour is our good friend Edward Clancy from Aid to the Church in Need. We're going to catch up on the Congo. His Holiness Pope Leo has expressed his deep sorrow and regret for the attacks, the continued persecution of Christians. He's also spoken out about what's happening in the West Bank, and there's been yet another attack. The patriarchs in Israel are speaking out yet again about settlers attacking Christians in the West Bank. Plus, there's the ongoing Gaza drama. So we'll talk to Edward Clancy at 30 past the hour. Again, we're going to link to everything we discussed today in the show notes over at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Also, do us a favor, pray for all of the fallout from an 8.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Russia. So people like Japan and Hawaii and these islands, they're all in the wake of tsunamis as a result of this. So we don't know quite the fallout. I think Hawaii is okay at this point, but 8.8 is kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. So let's keep them in our prayers today as well. By the way, can we just give a special shout out to one of our sponsors, realestateforlife.org. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, could be a great way to be on the team and support what we do here at thestationofthecross.com. If you reach out to realestateforlife.org and find yourself a faith-based, pro-life realtor, well, mention the Station of the Cross, and we get a small portion of that commission to support our cause. realestateforlife.org. Tell them we sent you. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and now your saint of the day.
Saints Abdon and Sennen, pray for us. Abdon and Sennen were natives of Persia, most likely noblemen, who came to Rome sometime in the 3rd century. They may have been prisoners of a Roman military campaign against the Persians. In Rome, these two Persians converted to Christianity, and they committed themselves to caring for Christian martyrs and properly interring their bodies. Once discovered by the Roman authorities, Abdon and Sennen were arrested and commanded to pay homage to idols. The two Christians refused, and even spat upon the idols in contempt of anything other than the true religion. They were imprisoned and tortured until the emperor returned to Rome. Abdon and Sennen were then thrown before the wild beasts in the arena, but the animals miraculously refused to attack despite the urging of the keepers. Finally, gladiators were sent into the amphitheater to dispatch the two faithful Persians by the sword. As Abdon and Sennen had done for their fellow martyrs, a Christian named Quirinus rescued and buried the bodies, which were eventually reinterred with honor during the reign of the Emperor Constantine. Abdon and Sennen are often invoked for the protection of children and to ask for a good harvest. For more about this day and others in the church's calendar, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. Saints Abdon and Sennen, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Ground News reports Starmer says UK will recognize Palestinian state unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer told his cabinet Britain will recognize the state of Palestine in September unless the Israeli government ends the appalling situation in Gaza. Domestic pressure grew as more than 250 Labour Party MPs urged recognition. A Europe-backed peace blueprint has been proposed, developed with French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. In Washington, the U.S. State Department opposed the move, while Trump told Starmer in Scotland he did not object, according to sources. Breitbart reports EPA Chief Lee Zeldin to rescind endangerment finding. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin yesterday released the agency's proposal to rescind what he has described as the holy grail of the climate change religion. Zeldin made the announcement to repeal the Obama-era endangerment finding at an auto dealer in Indiana alongside U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright and others. The EPA has said that the endangerment finding has been used to justify over $1 trillion in regulations, including the Biden-Harris administration's electric vehicle mandate. Scrapping the so-called endangerment finding would repeal all of the greenhouse emission regulations on motor vehicles and engines and give Americans consumer choice. And the Times reports heretical nuns appear in court to fight eviction by Catholic Church. A group of Spanish nuns excommunicated by the Catholic Church for aligning with the sect and rejecting papal authority appeared in court to resist eviction from their 15th century convent in Spain. The dispute, ongoing since May of 2024, stems from a property disagreement and doctrinal differences, with the nuns vowing to fight the eviction order issued by the Archdiocese of Burgos. And those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us from Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 through 46. Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like unto a treasure hidden in a field, which a man, having found it, hid it, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like to a merchant seeking good pearls, who when he had found one pearl of great price, went his way and sold all that he had and bought it." The Gospel of the Lord. Laus TV Christi. The great commentator Cornelius a Lapide would say, Christ, in the preceding four parables, namely the sower of the seed, of the grain of mustard, and of leaven, has declared the nature, power, and efficacy of the gospel. Now, in the two following parables of the treasure and of the pearl, he declares its price. How great it is that all things are deservedly counted as loss in comparison to it. The price of the gospel is all that you have. Just let that sink in. Are you prepared to give it all for the gospel? He goes on, by this treasure, St. Jerome understands Christ himself, and St. Augustine, the Holy Scripture. For when anyone has attained partly to the understanding of it, he feels great mysteries lie hid in it, and he sells all he has and buys it. That is, by despising things temporal, he procures rest for himself that he may be rich in the knowledge of God. Tropologically speaking, St. Gregory says, by the treasure understands heavenly desire. The treasure being found is hid, that it may be preserved, because it is not enough for a man to guard the zeal of his heavenly desire from the wicked spirits, who does not hide the same from the praise of men. In this present life, we are, as it were, in a road by which we are going to our country. Wicked spirits, like robbers, beset our path, He, therefore, who openly carries his treasure in the way desires to be robbed of it. Symbolically, the precious pearl is Christ, also the Blessed Virgin, also the religious state, also charity. For charity is a precious pearl, without which nothing can profit thee, whatsoever thou mayest have, says St. Augustine. For charity is the necklace of Christ. Also a precious pearl is the contemplative life, concerning which Christ said of Magdalene, Mary hath chosen the good part. A pearl is also the soul of every man. It is also eternal felicity, for all these are principal parts of the kingdom of heaven, i.e., the doctrine of the gospel. The Ignatius Catholic Study Bible would say 2 parables, the hidden treasure and the pearl of great value. They underscore the same point. Both stress that the kingdom's value is inestimable, and surrendering earthly attachments is required to obtain it. This may entail literal poverty or spiritual poverty for those whose state in life involves ownership of property, i.e. the laity. That's me and you. Allegorically speaking, Christ himself is the great treasure hidden within the field of the Old Testament. Only in light of his cross and resurrection can the mysteries of the old be fully understood to announce the advent of God's Son. As St. Augustine would say, the new is hidden in the old, and the old is perfected in the new. Our Savior Jesus Christ fulfilled all of the Old Testament covenants. Back in 2 minutes, don't go. I want to talk about John-Henry Westen, LifeSite News. We've been covering the story, the fallout, what's been going on. It's been really rough to see. I put up a lot of content talking about this over the past couple of weeks. Well, now John-Henry Westen, as I said, the day is going to come when he's going to be able to give his side of the story. That day has come, at least for the most part. He put out a video yesterday. I'm about to hit play on this for you so you can hear it from him directly. Addressing the allegations, at least most of the allegations, and maybe giving a hint of what's to come. There was a leaked audio. We did not play it. We chose not to play it. You had to go to this other channel if you wanted to hear it for yourself, but I directed everybody there who wanted to hear it. And in that leaked audio, it was rough. It was really rough to listen to that board meeting, and he addresses the allegations that are brought up in that board meeting that led to his temporary removal. But let's have a listen to John-Henry Westen and hear what he has to say about this.
So as many of you know, on July 2nd, in the context of a LifeSite News Board of Directors meeting, several members of the board supported my removal as CEO and from the board of directors. I was blindsided. I was afforded no opportunity to defend myself. There was a premeditated effort that involved a series of false accusations and misleading assertions. False testimony and distorted statistics were used to sway a slim majority of the board of directors against me. By July the 16th, by the grace of God, the chairman of the board of directors had concluded that the events of July 2nd had been null and void due to several procedural defects. Those who had offered the false testimony in an effort to deceive the board of directors simply had not bothered to obey the bylaws that govern LifeSite News. On July 18th, the board of directors concurred that the previous vote had been invalid and affirmed that I remained CEO and editor-in-chief. On July 22nd, the board of directors met again, following all proper procedures for removal of a director, and removed one of the members of the board of directors. The board of directors then reaffirmed once more that I remained CEO and a director. So I am now fully reinstated as editor-in-chief of LifeSite News.
What a dramatic turnaround that has been. I mean, from the outsider's perspective, and that's all we are, is outside looking in, it looked pretty lost when this all went down. What a turn of events. He's back. He's going to remain. Let that sink in.
In the interim, however, some defamatory accusations had been made public, specifically portions of a recording of the July 2nd meeting were improperly leaked. And those out-of-context recordings, which, by the way, did not include any defense from me, falsely accused me of, one, personally gaining financially from a LifeSite News transaction, two, making misrepresentations to a donor, and three, nepotism regarding the fact that two of my daughters are LifeSite News employees.
This is a big point for me because the initial response to the news that John-Henry Westen was ousted was that they were trying to silence him. And notice that he's like, that's obviously not on the table. That wasn't the issue. Now, he does get into this. By the end of this video, he does sort of touch on that subject about, editorial decisions and directions and being critical of the scandals in the church and all of that. But notice these are the big allegations they brought up at that meeting, and he's addressing each one individually. And it had nothing to do with his being outspoken or critical of Pope Francis, Pope Leo, or anything else. Have a listen.
And it's important both to LifeSite News and to me that the record be corrected just as publicly as the detractions. So, as the board of directors has urged me, I'm starting with this. First of all, the allegation of personal profit related to the purchase of a building in Ontario was completely 100% false. Here's what actually happened. LifeSite News purchased a new building in Ontario to serve as our video production studio, using a technique that many nonprofits use when holding real estate. LifeSite News set up a separate company in which I was the sole director. But LifeSite News owned 100% of the shares. I hold no ownership and receive no financial benefit from this. LifeSite News real estate holding company is owned by LifeSite News. There was no personal financial gain and nothing irregular about it. We used the same sort of holding company mechanism when we purchased our building in Virginia years ago. Secondly, I was falsely accused of inflating the cost of a particular expense when asking a donor for $80,000 for a project that would only cost $10,000. This, too, was completely false. Here's the reality. A generous donor heard about a video series project that we were planning and offered to help fund it. Our internal calculation was that the project would cost $10,000 if we just added up all the man hours and so on. And a fact, by the way, which I conveyed to the donor. I also presented to her some research that we did showing what the general industry cost of producing a similar video series would be, and that came to $80,000 on the lower end, I might add. And I further informed the donor that an external, if we were asked to do such a project as an ad or something by an external group, that we would charge $30,000 for it. So all of those figures were presented to the donor, who very generously responded by making an $80,000 gift to LifeSite News. There was no misrepresentation to the donor. There was none of that at all. And thirdly, with respect to the fact that two of my daughters are employed at LifeSite News, being a co-founder doesn't mean that my children are disqualified from working for the mission I helped to build. Now, of course, I recused myself from their hiring decisions. In fact, one of my daughters joined LifeSite News as a major gifts officer during a critical staffing shortage. She left a secure full-time career and took a $35,000 pay cut in order to serve the mission of LifeSite News. Even worse, the individual who aired the leaked recording claimed that my two daughters only worked 2 hours per day, which not only wasn't true, it was never even alleged. Since their early teenage years, both of my daughters spent countless unpaid hours volunteering for LifeSite News, entering data, answering.
I got to tell you, I've had working in the 501c3 world now for decades, my kids have done many a volunteer hour at various times and efforts for me and for the organizations that I've worked for. So I can totally appreciate this.
Phones, sorting mail, maintaining records. My family has always sacrificed for the mission of LifeSite News. And these false accusations in an effort to defame me were especially unfair to my daughters. Each of these allegations was completely false and clearly designed to damage both me and the mission of LifeSite News. It's been deeply painful to face these false accusations, especially from people that I've worked with so closely for so many years. The board of directors has launched a full independent investigation, which is already bringing great clarity to everyone involved. This ordeal has caused great distress to me and to my family, and I know to many of you. Fundamentally, I believe this wasn't about legal or financial misconduct, but rather differences of opinion regarding the editorial voice of LifeSite News. Obviously, many are uncomfortable with my public stance on corruption within the church. And I'm grateful for the steps LifeSite News' board of directors has taken to ensure such differences of opinion were not permitted to let these false accusations stand. And we are now united and moving forward to restore the trust of our readers and donors through unswerving dedication to our mission. You know, I'm not a perfect CEO. And in fact, I've never claimed to be a great manager at all. My leadership has always been about vision, about direction, about content. My flaws are real, and they're really obvious to those close to me. But they're not unethical, and they're not illegal. I believe, as the scriptures say, in all things God works for the good of those who love him. And I trust that from this very trial and hardship, God will bring good, great good. My commitment to LifeSite News, to the truth and the mission, defending life, faith, family, and freedom, has not changed. Most emphatically, I want to thank each and every one of you who reached out with prayers, calls, texts, emails, and comments. You've supported me and my family through one of the most difficult moments of my life. And I'm grateful beyond words. I know how much LifeSite News means to you, and I want you to know that we're moving forward.
I think that's the best news of all, that they're moving forward. Praise be to God for that. That was one of my biggest concerns, that this would spell the end of LifeSite News. And I thought that would have been a great tragedy. So it seems to me that good news ahead. They are going to be able to move forward. They're going to be on the same team. I love that. The one thing he didn't really address in his response, and I think it's probably because he will address it next in the next coming days or weeks or months or what have you, which was over this internal survey, which was also brought up in that leaked audio that he mentioned. And he didn't really address that. Now, that was a point of confusion for me personally, as an outsider looking into this, and having some sources that I was able to contact to try to get a better understanding. It was my understanding that there were some dynamic issues amongst the staff and John-Henry Westen. But it's also been brought to my attention that most on the staff actually wrote letters of complaint to the board about their treatment of John-Henry Westen. They were defending John-Henry Westen in this whole exchange. And I guess that helped to sway the board's vote the second time around as well. So many on the staff are happy that John-Henry Westen is back. And let's all just pray that this gives them an opportunity to reset, reboot, to be on the same page as a team and move forward and do the important work that LifeSite News does day in and day out. Let's pray for everyone. Praise be to God. I'll link to this video. You can find it on LifeSiteNews.com. You can find it on John-Henry Westen's YouTube channel and other places, but we'll put it in the show notes for you. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain, and here are your headline news. Just the News reports New York City gunman was targeting the NFL headquarters. The gunman who fatally shot 4 people inside a Midtown Manhattan office building was targeting the NFL offices, but took the wrong elevator bank, New York City Mayor Eric Adams said yesterday. Investigators found a note from the deceased gunman, Shane Tamura, in which he wrote about the brain trauma CTE, which is associated with head injuries in football. Adams said Tamura was a high school football player, but never played in college or the NFL. The Hill reports Maxwell demands immunity. An attorney for Ghislaine Maxwell said she would only speak with the House Oversight Government, the Committee on House Oversight Government Reform, if she was granted immunity, an idea that the panel swiftly rejected. The panel last week subpoenaed Maxwell, compelling her testimony. Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, noted that she has filed an appeal before the Supreme Court, and her testimony to the committee could jeopardize efforts to overturn her 2021 conviction for sex trafficking children. Ground News reports Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt joined the call for Hamas to disarm. On Monday, a total of 17 nations, among them Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, endorsed a 7-page United Nations document calling on Hamas to disarm and relinquish its control over Gaza. This call comes in the aftermath of the Hamas assault on Israel on October the 7th, 2023, which resulted in over 1,200 fatalities and sparked an ongoing conflict in Gaza. The text, co-signed by France, Britain, and Canada, also condemned the attacks, called for renewed 2-state solution talks, and proposed deploying foreign forces post-hostilities. And those are your headline news. Speaking of which, there's a lot I want to cover today as far as a lot of these stories goes. But over 40 Christians killed in ISIS-linked terrorist attacks on Congolese Catholic Church was a big story from over the weekend. Another devastating bit of news coming out of Africa. And for that, we turn to our good friend Edward Clancy from Aid to the Church in Need. Churchinneed.org is their website. Edward, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for having me.
So it's a terrible story. And why do we always have these terrible stories, you and I? You and I at some point are going to have to talk about something more positive. It's always bad. I mean, I agree. What is going on that we have these stories? Nigeria is typically what we talk about. The Congo, you and I have talked about a few times, but it kind of flies under the radar for the most part. But maybe this one will raise the awareness. I don't know. What do you say?
There's always hope that, hope in this terrible tragedy that something will come. But I would temper those hopes with the fact that all weekend long after the killings happened, and just to give some framework, it happened in a Catholic church while people were having an all-night Eucharistic vigil. So There's kind of nothing worse in a sense of attacks on the church than that. Short of, I don't know, I wouldn't even want to hesitate to even contemplate anything worse, but the people, typical of what's happening there, it's terror. It's gunshots, it's machetes, it's burning. So people suffered the fate of all of those. And the situation in Congo has been terrible for hundreds of years. I mean, the last king of Congo was, a horrible person who enslaved his people, enslaved fellow tribes. And then when the Europeans came in, he took advantage of them, and then they took advantage of him. And the poor people of the Congo have been suffering. Another interesting fact about the Congo is it might be the most Christian country, maybe in the world. It's like 97% Christian, with about half of those Christians being Catholic. And of course, now the attackers are not Christian. The attackers recently, the ADF, or I guess they go by an ISIL subgroup now, are essentially Muslim. So they're backing, they're desires have not been expressed, other than they are fighting for freedom or for against other attacks. The other thing in Congo is there's at least 12 rebel groups operating in that area. To compound things even more in the Congo, they have deep roots in the Rwanda genocide, in that both the Hutu and the Tutsi fled to Congo, to DRC, for refuge. And they are now cohabitating, if you will, areas of Congo, and still have the ethnic tribal problems. You add that with a corrupt government, you add that with many years of lack of infrastructure, and you have the perfect cauldron of violence, of opportunity. And, right now the per capita income in Congo is something on the order of $800 per year. I know we can talk about economies and say that in DRC, they have about 1/6 to 1/7 the cost structure of the United States. So that's essentially, you're talking about, at best, a factor of like living on $6,000 or $8,000 a year income in the United States. And that's, very low at best. And that doesn't include, people there don't have to, more often than not, are not paying rent because they're living out in the open. So
living out in the open.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
They have six.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying they have 6.1 million displaced people in the country.
Wow, living out in the open. That's pretty hard to deal with, actually, to even contemplate that. Makes me think of Mexico City. I once heard a statistic that it was like more people living off the trash dump in Mexico City than any other place in the world. But I don't want to get too. I don't want to digress too far there. I want to ask you about sort of the parallels between the Congo and Nigeria. You said a minute ago, which surprised me because I didn't know. I didn't know that Congo is one of the most Christian, let alone Catholic places on planet Earth. This is news to me. I can't believe that. It's amazing. But okay, so what is the government like there as far as that goes? In Nigeria, you have a government that is not sympathetic to Christians, it would seem, and turns a blind eye, allowing the Fulani to continue to do whatever they want to do, murdering, raping, pillaging, etc. I would have to believe in a country that's so Christian, their government must be sympathetic to the cause of Christians there, no?
They are, but they're both physically and maybe structurally inept in the fact that they don't have the wherewithal to get to places up in the Northeast. So Congo has very little developed infrastructure. The other problem is that Congo is very rich in mineral resources. And of course, we have the international players that always seem to be around looking to exploit that. One of the biggest recent investors has been China, trying to develop some mines and some extraction processes and put in electronic infrastructure. So they do that, and of course they'll put in cell towers, but they won't put roads in. They don't put in sewers. They don't put in water. It was so bad, in fact, that when the rebels started in the Northeast, the Congolese, the DRC government couldn't fight them off, so they asked Uganda for help.
Wow.
Now you have in Uganda essentially a pro-Tutsi leadership. And of course, you have a mixture of Hutu and Tutsi in Congo. So you have a recipe for almost disaster there, in that even if they come in and they help, they may help one group over another because of these sort of ethnic, whatever you want to call it. So that's the problem. The problem is the government is so badly funded because the economy is terrible. It is structurally not strong enough to exert its force or its protection into all of the regions. You add to the fact that they have suffered multiple civil wars in the 1990s, and there was 2 or 3 civil wars then. Then recently, there's another group called the M23, which is a rebel group, and they take their name from the peace accords that were signed on March 23rd. And they're saying that the accords were never abided by, so that justifies their activities, and they are trying to protect certain groups of people. They essentially are trying to protect the Hutu, who they say are being abused by the Tutsi. And again, I'm not picking a side. I'm just saying that this is the mixture of things that are going on. You add to this the fact that the church has been, the Catholic Church has been the main support of the social needs of the society, and it is desperately poor. It is spread thin, and of course, it's being subjugated by the same violence that the people are. Catholic priests and nuns are just as vulnerable as any population. They have no more protection because of their clothing, and therefore have to operate in these environments. And then the relief centers that are run by governments, unfortunately, is very typical. That there is some effort to help, but there's no effort to solve the problem.
Remind me again, the Hutsis and they were the same two group from Rwanda, right? That 1 million people
Correct.
died in their civil war.
Yes.
So it's the same. These are the same tribes at play here in the Congo.
Yes, they are. They're in the mix. There are other tribes as well, but those two, having had problems outside of the country and now injecting that into the country, and then you have the Rwandan government also having input into some of these paramilitary activities, or allegedly having that. So again, it becomes a really bad mix. And then you add to that the international communities that are most likely or most amenable to help would be the French and the Belgians, and both of them have had a checkered history, in serving and helping, in ruling in the past, and because of that, it's almost as if no one is trusted. So what we need is, a true Catholic response. We need the ability for people to be treated as children of God and helped. But one of the first things that needs to happen is the flow of weapons into the country has to stop. We can't have, as we've had with activities in Nigeria, when you have all of these rebel groups getting, weapons and bullets, where they can get that quicker than they get food, that has to stop. And also, whatever mechanism of finance that are allowing all of this corruption and stuff to happen also should stop. And this is something that really, we know now that you pick up your phone and you buy something, you make a transaction, it's delivered to you. It's almost the same there. They can do electronic transactions in DRC, and yet they can't trace where the money's coming from, or they say they can't. They can't trace where the money's coming from and who's delivering the goods. I mean, I've told you this story before, where in Nigeria, when a priest was kidnapped recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, the vicar of the diocese had been dealing with a previous kidnapping 4 years prior, and he had a phone number of one of the rebel groups that had held the priest. So,
wow,
on speculation, called the number to see if the rebel group might know anything of it. It turns out they had this second priest kidnapped.
No kidding.
They were able to begin the negotiations of his release. So if the priest in a diocese could call a criminal rebel in somewhere, of course, so could the government. Of course, so could the phone be pinged and know exactly where they are.
What a complicated situation going on in the Congo. The Pope is trying to raise awareness, urging international responsibility and collaboration to fix all of this. I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, iCatholicMobile.com. Thank you for being a sponsor of what we do here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media. A portion of the bills paid by their customers every month for their mobile phone service come to us to make it possible for me to get out of bed at 3:50 in the morning every day, 5 days a week, to bring you the latest information and great conversation. I couldn't be more grateful that my phone company is Catholic. Is yours? Just asking, just wondering. You can find more information at iCatholicMobile.com. We're talking about all of these stories of persecution of Christians and the church speaking out. In fact, Pope Leo, His Holiness, has spoken out yet again about the attack on the Congo. I think this is now his second or third time this week alone, asking the international community to do something about it. Praise be to God. But I also want to mention that Cardinal Pizzaballa is also speaking out again because settlers in the West Bank again attacked Tebia. And I just want to read a portion of this for you because it's shocking, to be honest with you. Listen to this. This is His Eminence Cardinal Pizzaballa. This grievous incident is not an isolated occurrence. It forms part of an alarming pattern of settler violence against West Bank communities, including their homes, sacred spaces, and ways of life. Only days ago, settlers forcibly entered Tebe, herding livestock into the heart of the town. Masked individuals, some armed, others on horseback, roamed the streets, spreading terror and threatening the sanctity of daily life. Fire reached the very walls of the ancient church, a living testament to the Christian faith's enduring presence in the Holy Land. We regret that official Israeli police statements reduced the matter solely to property damage, omitting the broader context of systematic intimidation and abuse. These omissions distort the truth and fail to address violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, including the right to religious freedom and the protection of cultural heritage. Joining us now to weigh in on this is our good friend Edward Clancy from churchinneed.org. Edward, welcome back. Here's the question. Are we speaking up more now than in times past, specifically to what happens in the West Bank or Gaza or Palestine in general?
If you mean more violence, yes. Is it being spoken of in the news enough? No. The problem in Tebe, where the violence happened, I mean, it's a terrible cultural attack, aside from the violence and terrorist activities against the people, because they desecrated the cemeteries. And one of the key points that we've heard many times in Iraq and Syria, and now in Israel or Palestine, is that the cemeteries are sacred places for these people. You know, they can trace back their heritage. I mean, very similar to, going on Ancestry.com, you can go into a cemetery and see 4, 5, 6 generations of your family there. And in a culture in Israel where they bury their dead standing up so that their head is still below God's reign, you would think that there would be some honor to even for the dead. But in this case, I think they understand, the people who are doing this understand the destruction that's happening. The other thing that happened in that area was they burned the olive trees. Now, Christian communities in a lot of these places exist on these economies of scale that are hard to imagine, and that they make soup out of rocks almost. They take terrible land, and similar to what the monks did up in Northern Ireland and other places, and they turn it profitable. They turn it into farms. They cultivate it. And over years, they have built something. And olive trees, which were burned recently, take 3 or 4 years to recover, even if they're not dead. I mean, even if they're still alive, that would take 3 or 4 years for them to recover. Planting new olive trees really only becomes profitable 4 to 5 years later. So all of these things have to be factored into now what happens to these farmers, what happens to this community, what happens to the work that keeps the people there, the families there. And so the cardinal is sorry?
No, I was just going to ask follow-up question. But are we, it seems like, something you and I've talked about many times, Israel is the third rail. You touch it and boy, do you get pushback. But it feels to me, and I'd like you to tell me if I'm wrong about this, that it seems like with Pizzaballa's being outspoken on the issue, Pope Leo being outspoken on the issue. I mean, even Francis spoke quite a bit there towards the end of his pontificate about all of this, calling the church in Gaza every day, for instance. It seems like there has been an effort to raise greater awareness to some of these issues.
Sure.
Because the taboo has been you can't criticize Israel.
No, I agree. And when I said not spoken enough about it, I mean outside of these confines, outside of our conversation, outside of the Holy Father speaking about it and Cardinal Pizzabella, that, the problem with these is the shelf life of these news stories are very short. And it almost takes another activity like this, another horrible terrorist activity, for it to be brought back. And that's a problem, because we can't continue to benefit from suffering. There's going to be an end to that. There's going to be eventually where, the dam will break, or people will be gone. And so the important thing right now for us is to focus on helping those people maintain their lives there, finding a way for support, praying for them, but also to do what the Cardinal is doing, what the Holy Father is doing, is speaking out. And that's why this is a great opportunity. You mentioned Syria. It happened years ago in Syria when they attacked the north, and it was Turkey then. And now it's the new government not protecting the Christians, or maybe participating in some of these attacks on Christian places. It's hard to know because there's no true news. Everything is, we hear the information from good sources, but there's not, like, the New York Times doesn't go in and cover it well. The Washington Post doesn't do it the same thing. It's these blips, 13, 14-word statements, and it disappears. Similar to the attacks on Tebe, where it was property damage, and that's it. The story's over.
Okay, so going back to Syria for a second here, we saw the attacks on the Druze and Christians in the south. That story sort of fallen off a little bit in the last week or so. What is the situation on the ground there?
Well, it's a struggle. It's again, we have a lack of cultural mass. Years ago, when Syria was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% Christians, there was enough people, enough Christians there as a body to react, to recover. Now, the people who remain are so decimated from the years of war and ISIS, etc., that there's so few of them that for it to recover. But also, when these things happen, they're much more pronounced, because hurting 10 people now is like hurting 100 20 years ago. So the situation is not good from the sense of, these people are suffering. But what's amazing is that the people remain, the church remains, and the church is not going to leave. And so what we are doing, for Aid to the Church Need, other organizations, the Catholic Church, the Latin Patriarchate, is maintaining the life of the church in those places and planning to help them going forward.
Amen. Churchinneed.org is the website.
And we're back. Welcome to the after show, everyone.
Morning. Boy, oh boy. This whole creatine experiment is not going well right now in my belly. It's just, I almost feel sick from this stuff. Like, golly, gee whiz. Maybe I'm doing the wrong dosage.
Test it out on a weekend, not when you're doing important things like the show.
Did you start with a small dose?
Well, I started yesterday. I did, yeah, but today I ramped it a little bit. Went to 25 grams.
Oh boy!
And, it's having an adverse effect. So anyway, I don't know if we'll make it through the whole after show, but anyway. Good morning, everybody. Praise be to God. Jane says the IDF has acknowledged the destroying of the cemeteries. By the way, yesterday there was a report that they're bombing close to the Holy Family Parish again in Gaza. So, the hits, they just keep on coming.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the comments here. Do we have any updates on the tsunami thing and the earthquake thing? I still can't tell whether or not there's any serious concern about the tsunamis.
I have not seen any reports of any deaths yet in any
Praise
region.
God, that's good.
The warnings in Hawaii have been downgraded, and people are allowed to return home. South America still has some more serious advisories or warnings. French Polynesia and I think some other island nations and such have still some warnings, more serious ones. But I have not seen any reports of any, truly devastating damage anywhere yet.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good news. Praise God. I'll never forget being in Hawaii in the Marine Corps. We had a tsunami warning because of something similar. Sirens rang all day. Mm-hmm. It was so eerie to this, you just felt this pending doom. It was just slow, steady train wreck coming your way. And you're just all waiting for the shoe to drop. And the water rose a couple of inches or something. It was wah, wah, wah. So I would hope that that's the case. It's good to have a letdown at the end of a big earthquake tsunami warning.
As of 43 minutes ago, the biggest recorded wave so far in California was a 3.6-foot wave in Crescent City. They still have an advisory.
Surfers don't even get out of bed for 3.6.
They still have an advisory for people to stay away from beaches, harbors, and piers until the alerts are lifted. This is not an official measurement, just a visual estimate, but Russian state media reported that in kind of this is on the remote east coast of Russia. They said that they did see waves of almost 10 feet estimated in the Kamchatka region. So if it's only 10 feet in Russia near where the earthquake happened, that's probably a good sign that we shouldn't see anything too disastrous further down.
Yeah,
but
praise God.
But, you never know. These things, I feel like the biggest problem is that these things are hard to fully predict. Weird things can affect the waves and cause them to increase. I don't know that much about
we don't have another disaster that caused 100,000 plus people to die in the Pacific Rim.
Yeah. We don't want the
horrible.
We don't want any nuclear plants getting hit like Fukushima or anything like that.
That was biblical. Yeah. Hey, Sharon says, number 2 on the leaderboard this morning, Sharon. Good morning. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being on the team. You are amazing. Says, I'm recovering from a magnesium supplement allergy. My face is swollen like a balloon. That's not good. That's not good. Praying for that one. Yeah, this creatine thing, I'm not so sure about. I may have to ditch it sooner rather than later.
I don't think going from low dose to 25 grams a day. You should try to be 5, go to 10.
Colin Newbold says no more than 10 grams, Joe.
No more than 10. Oh, listen, there's a philosophy.
Joe listened to one video and it told him to take 25 grams.
Good, so he's more is better. That's the philosophy of life.
Who needs a tack hammer when you have a jackhammer, right?
Right, exactly what I'm talking about.
Joe is like me. He hears about something once and just turns it into an entire new aspect of his identity. Yeah, I do this all the time.
But it's
I do that constantly.
The old engine isn't loving things. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Cigar Mode, you're on the team, and I couldn't be more grateful to you. So, thank you for that. Says Joe, sugar-free, emphasis on the sugar-free, electrolytes, clean ingredients. Yeah, I do a lot of electrolytes, actually, and then mine are sugar-free. I do Element, and I also have another one. I forget the name of the other one. I have liquid that I do in I do every bottle filled with electrolytes. And then I have the powdered Element ones that I do when I'm exercising, working out, when I'm going to sweat a bunch.
Colin has the best advice. Stay away from supplements and go straight for the herbs, man.
Colin, brother, I hope your employer doesn't do urine tests on occasion. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Hey, Andrew Hunt, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. Says, good morning, Mr. McLean from Maryland. Call me Joe. I am old, but I don't want to feel old, so call me Joe. Maryland, good to have you on the team, Maryland. Praise be to God. Glad you're here. Thanks for listening. I do appreciate it. Beverly, good morning to you. Chesty is here. Semper Fi. He says, wait till those kidney stones kick in. Creatine will be out the window. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want kidney stones. I know that much. Do they cause kidney stones? Never heard that one. That's news to me.
Yeah.
I hope that's not true. I hope that's fake news.
I've had kidney stones 4 times.
Oof.
Yeah.
Ugh. I've had gallbladder issues, but not kidney stones. I don't want kidney stones. That doesn't sound fun. The best sugar substitute is none. Yes, sir. Fact bombs dropping. Almost like they're dropping in Gaza right now. Christine
we're going to
OFS.
get our channel canceled for misinformation.
Don't be
Monk
banning.
fruit.
Don't. It's
Monk
right.
fruit.
Monk fruit, baby. Christine OFS. Thanks for being on the team, Christine. You are amazing. Says Jason Jones. First, bombs have been dropping all day around Holy Family Church, landing just meters away. So far, the damage has just been structural, but after the recent attack, they killed multiple. I'm guessing multiple people. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. You know, this is why we continue to have the coverage. And one of the, every time I talk about it, I always get emails. Joe's an antichrist. Joe's Hitler, anti-Semitic, or whatever. And then part of the accusation is they claim that, we're not having guests that know anything really about, get someone who really understands the Middle East. I'm like, I do. And that's part of the reason why I reached out to Mike Casey to be on the team tomorrow, because he lived there, right? His what he's going to say is not going to be fun for a lot of people who are in the dispensationalist camp, but it is true. It's as true as what we've been talking about all the time. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I get it, but it needs to be said. Chesty says, no, they don't, Joe. I was kidding. I've had the stones and not good at all. Were you kidding that creatine causes it? Because you were freaking me out when you said that. Okay, I don't want that. I'd rather have a bag of sugar if it didn't cause kidney stones than an entire thing of creatine that does. That'd be bad.
I have heard good things about creatine, but it's important to, with any kind of supplement, if it's important to know if you need it or not, and if you need it, how much you need it. As opposed to just, oh, this thing sounds good. Let me chug it.
Let me pound it,
because that's what I would do, Joe. So
yeah, well, we're figuring it out the hard way. That's kind of my mantra in life. Low key. Do we know if Joe has been asked to be extra resurrection movie yet? No. Although, I am acting in a film coming up in September. I'm playing a Saint Hilarion from Gaza, of all places. Saint Hilarion's from Gaza, although he dies in Cyprus. He spends his last days in Cyprus. He is a contemporary of Saint Anthony of the Desert. You can say he was even an understudy of Saint Anthony of the Desert for a time. So I'm looking forward to doing that. It's a small project by some young Catholics in Idaho. I'm really excited they asked me to do it. But let's just be honest. They asked me because of my striking good looks and my beard. They're just using me for the beard. Let's just be honest about it. But that's okay. I'm all right with it. Sharon says, my doctor showed me a picture of 14 supplements he takes every morning. That's the other side of that slippery slope. It's like I can't take 14 supplements a day. That's ridiculous. I can't do that. I'm having a hard time taking the liver pills that my wife wants me to take. I'm not good at taking stuff. Liver? Since I'm mostly carnivore, they say you should have organ meats, livers. Yeah, just because there's a lot more nutrients in that. Yeah, and it helps to offset that. So my wife got me a thing of beef liver pills to take, and I'm not good at taking those. I don't remember. I forget all the time. I'm just not good at it. So I don't know. KZ2, good morning to you. A marine-sized dose. Yeah, apparently it's too much. I'm definitely not loving it. Lynn Pine, good morning to you. Rosie 6046, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Nick, the mic is here. Sci-fi, low key. James 16897, good morning to you. I see Patty on the team. Good morning. Buddy K9, welcome back, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're here. Donald Paddock. Angelique, good morning. Lori Powell, good morning. Junior Barra, good morning from West Texas. Ursula, good morning and welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I need to change the chat. John Paul Sandoval, I see you there. Deplorical? Deplorical? Is that how I say your name? Deplorical?
I think so. I like that.
Deplorical.
It's like a deplorable. It's like a deplorable oracle.
Oracle, deplorable.
The Oracle of Deplorable.
It's a deplorable oracle.
Got it. God made for us pretty awesome self-healing bodies, and he was so sure of his work he didn't need to add a check engine light. Although I wish he did sometimes. I know.
Usually when we need that, that's because it's our fault.
Yeah. Andrew Hunt, welcome to the Insiders. Welcome to the team, Andrew. Thank you for being on the team.
Nice.
Although now you're triggering me, deplorical, because now I'm thinking about cars and the check engine light. Why again does my car not have the ability to tell me exactly what is wrong with it? Why do I get some strange code that I have to go and decipher that is still vague and ambiguous? It's 2025. Self-driving cars exist. Why can't they just tell me exactly what's wrong? Hey, the spark plug on the right side of the engine block, third one from the back, needs replacing. Fine, great, sure, let's go do it. Like what? I don't understand. I don't get it. All of this huff a muss about regulation and all this other stuff. Can you give me a car that will tell me what's wrong with it? That'd be the nice thing. That'd be better. Do you even have cars in New York City? Do you own a car, Edward?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. In fact, I have a car, and my most prized possession is a parking spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I mean, in New York City, in my neighborhood, people will literally leave their car and get parking tickets rather than pay for parking. Parking spot in my neighborhood is more than rent, I guarantee, in your neighborhood for a house. And so the situation is often you can see people sitting, like we have alternate side street parking when they do street cleaning, and people will get there with a cup of coffee and sit in their car during alternate side of street parking and just wait it out. And other people just don't care. They just pay the 3 or 4 tickets a month and say, the $400 a month I pay in tickets is less than it would cost to, park my car in a spot. So you have to factor it in the cost. And my wife, who, it's like now she's become the keeper of the spot. She'll say, "Move quick! There's a spot in front of the house." It's like get dressed, wallet, keys. Okay, run out the door. I forgot.
Buy a car and park it there, and then never drive it. I would have it registered and legal. I'd have it legal so they couldn't catch me on it. But I would just own a car and sort of park it there at all times. I don't know. Then you guess you don't get to use it. I don't know how that would work, but man, there's got to be some way to trick that game to make sure you get your spot. I can't imagine living in a place like New York City. Honestly, it's such a crazy spot. I just can't imagine ever actually living there. To be
it takes a life of training.
Oh man, better you than me, my friend. Better you than me. Caleb the mechanic, good morning to you. I've got the OBD reader thingy dingy, and it connects to my phone and everything, and it is still as useless as the day is long. Why? I mean, like they is it just to protect the mechanic who has to go out and spend $5,000 on a big fancy reader that actually gives you all the information and diagnostic stuff? Why can't that just be built into the car in 2025? Like Trump's been president for how long, and this is not a thing yet? Like, really? I'm sorry. What did we vote for here? I don't even know. The traditional
when in doubt, change the O2 sensor.
That's right. That's exactly right. When was the last time you changed it? Last month when it also complained?
It's like, we'll change it again. Yeah.
Change it again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I can generally change my own O2 sensor, so I feel pretty good about it. I feel very manly when I do that. It feels almost like mechanic work. Hey, the traditional Thomist, from your lips to God's ears, brother. Joe McClain equals greatest car mechanic ever. Yep. It's true. It's true. It's true. Did I ever tell you about the time that I started to do a job on my own car because I'm a man. I should be able to do my own mechanic work. And then I had to tow the vehicle to my mechanic, and he chewed me out for it. Like, he shamed me. Like, who are you to do your own mechanic work? Shame on you. Chesty, because the cash cow of the dealership is the maintenance department, it is no joke. Yep. True story. Richard Corwin, good morning to you. Thanks for being on the team. No such thing as a mechanic. They're all technicians. Yeah, it's pretty complicated these days, that's for sure.
Yep.
JMC, good morning, Joe. Oxalates cause kidney stones. Spinach, eggplant, almonds, rhubarb, beets are a few that are high in oxalates. Lemon helps to prevent them. Here's the good news. I don't eat any of those things that you just mentioned, although I love almonds. I could absolutely pound an entire bag of almonds in one sitting without even thinking twice about it. It's one of my favorite road foods is to get a giant bag of almonds and just eat them. But I don't eat them anymore, or at least on a normal basis. So I guess that I'm good then. I'm good. I've passed the JMC test. Paul, auto repair industry is absolutely crooked. I don't know if it's crooked. Is it really crooked? I don't know if it's crooked. I don't know about that. It's just that they set it up so that you have to go to these people. Paul says the most crooked part of auto repair industry is being in cahoots with the state inspection. Loki says, Joe, Bannon mentioned he was reading a book on congressional investigation into the CIA. There is a story there where Gary Hart approached James Angleton, former head of counterintelligence at the CIA, if they were involved with the JFK assassination. Angleton replied with the Bible verse, in my father's house there are many mansions. What do you think he meant? Well, it probably meant that the CIA is incredibly compartmentalized, and what one mansion does, the other one doesn't know about. That's my guess. I don't know.
Is this before or after Gary Hart got in trouble?
Right. Yeah, who knows? Who knows anymore? Good grief. I definitely believe the CIA was involved. I'm certainly on that team. I mean, clearly now we know more that Lee Harvey Oswald he was a known asset working with them in some capacity. That's known more now than ever before. So was Jack Ruby. Thank you. Jack Ruby, my guardian angel, helping me out, whispering the names in my ear. Jack Ruby also had some connections. So we clearly there's some shenanigans going on there. But how much more? I don't know. Who knows? Cigar mode. Almonds are loaded with oxalates. I know, but they're tasty.
They are.
They're so good. My wife's issue, and the reason why she stops me from eating them mostly, is she says the skins on the almonds can cause inflammation.
Yep.
So if you can get the deskinned ones, maybe they're better.
Douglas Ramicus also mentioned that.
Yeah. What do you guys think about,
in general?
Before we run out of time and or my stomach growls, what do you guys think about the John-Henry Westen's response? Well, give me your thoughts on that. I'm glad he's responded. I'm now feeling like a little bit more on the confused side of things when it comes to that survey, which he barely even he didn't say the word survey, so he barely touched on the topic at all. So I'm guessing that still has to be addressed, and I'm guessing he will address it at some point in the days, weeks, or months ahead. We'll have to see. But I'm guessing since this has already come out, we'll see more on this sooner rather than later. But let me know what you guys think about that.
He also said there was an internal investigation going on. So I imagine, that's going to have weight in how it plays out, what information comes out and,
Yeah. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see. I'm glad my biggest thing is I'm glad that LifeSite News is going to move forward. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Praise be to God for that. And if this has given them an opportunity between John-Henry Westen and the staff to sort of reset and get on the same page, I think that's great too. Yeah. Praise God. I think it's good for everybody in that regard. Christine says, John Henry said there is still yep. So I guess we're going to find out who is like God. Wisdom, good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out. Is the relationship with Bishop Strickland damaged in any way? I hope not. That is another big question. Thanks for bringing that up. I don't know. I'm afraid. I know I have sources. Of course, I know Bishop Strickland personally, but I don't want to ask. I don't want to put anybody in that awkward place. So I'm not asking those questions. I'm like you. I'm a bystander just waiting to see how it all plays out. But that, if you did listen to the audio that got leaked, that was the most uncomfortable thing of all, was that right there. That was tragic. So we're going to find out, I guess. We're going to find out what that relationship actually looks like. But if John-Henry Westen has had the opportunity to explain his side, his side of the story, and if he's backed that up with the receipts, I imagine Bishop Strickland, being a very humble man, will accept that, and they will all be able to move on. It has been my experience that Bishop Strickland is not pretentious in any way, shape, or form, and doesn't let pride or ego get in the way. He takes that very seriously, and so I could imagine that they could reconcile. At least I hope and pray, but we haven't heard anything on it.
Yeah, that's
Caleb,
why I said it. I didn't think it was like we still haven't heard the end of the entire situation. And we just know that there has been disagreement behind the scenes. It's clear that at least some people within the company, and not just a board member or two, had issues with, John Henry's personality or management style or whatever. Like, we could see more people at lower levels leaving LifeSite News. We could see still some shakeup or some turnover. Who knows what? I don't think we've heard the end of it, and it's just it's unfortunate.
It's always a challenge when the personality becomes almost bigger than the organization. That you maintain that balance of leadership, of public presence, but at the same time, the mission of the organization, which is greater than any one person. So that I think is a big challenge. It was something that John Wooden in his book addressed very well when he talked about, like, he wouldn't be involved in picking his successor. He said, because I can't be fair, and it's not fair to the UCLA in that case for me to impose my ideas on them. They have to be free of me and make the decision separately. That's a great challenge. We faced it in our organization because our founder was such a prominent figure and well known that after his passing, there was a vacuum, and you see in it that things can happen. And so John-Henry Westen does a lot of good work, but they also have to be aware that he's one person. The organization has to be greater than him. And I absolutely agree. And I've seen this in a number of Catholic apostolates before, especially here in Houston, Texas, where a founder is just the most well-known, and everybody, associates the organization with this person. When this person is, passed on or whatever is not there, the organization really suffers to be able to carry out the mission and continue on for that very reason. So these organizations really have to have a plan for succession in those circumstances, and I think this has illustrated that in a big way. At least that was my take. That I always felt that John-Henry Westen would do fine no matter what he does or where he goes. I think he's going to be great. But I definitely felt like it would hurt mostly the employees and the organization itself, and I don't think that was fair. So I am glad that this outcome at least means the organization continues on. Praise be to God. And I think they'll be better for it in the long run, which is good too. Yeah, I hope that any divisions that are there are healed, that are resolved, so this way that they can focus. Yeah.
Caleb the mechanic says, I feel better about the direction of LifeSite News. John Henry has a good vision for the future. Well, he's been hinting at what that will look like, so I guess it's going to be the next announcement. Janice, good morning to you, Janice. You are amazing. Really appreciate you being on the team. Says, I think it was hard for John-Henry Westen to hear all the criticism against him personally. Don't know if he'll address that. He touched on it. He didn't address it. He just touched on it in his response. So like I said, I'm guessing that's part of what we'll hear next from him as well. And I reached out to a source reached out to me yesterday. I won't tell you who they were or are, but I sort of had a little. I asked for clarity about this survey, because from an outsider looking at the survey, the issue over internal employees complaining about John-Henry Westen, this person who's on the inside suggested to me that was greatly exaggerated. So that's why I think that's probably going to get addressed soon. And this person suggested to me that there were a majority of employees actually wrote letters to the board defending John-Henry Westen when all this happened. And maybe that also swayed the board to vote him back on, officially on their July the 22nd board meeting. That might have played a big role. But again, in the video, John-Henry didn't really go into that all that much at all. He just sort of touched on it a little bit, and then so I guess we'll more will be coming. Alberto, good morning to you. Surveys are tough to interpret because they are very subjective, and the way the questions are worded, it makes a huge difference. I had a conversation with Michael Hitchborn. I was on Michael Hitchborn's podcast on Friday, and that was a point that he made, was just how subjective things are in that circumstance, and emotional, and not like a hard this infraction, but more how people feel about things. We've never seen the survey. We don't know what they did or didn't do, or asked, in that regard, or how they responded. We don't know. We don't have that information. Cigar mode is still on the nuts. Nuts are generally inflammatory. Don't say that, okay? Listen, walnuts, pecans, these are amazing, God-sent, nutritional medicines for the body.
It's really,
that's why I
really
eat them
great.
in mass quantities.
Yes, like caramelized pecans with a little brie on baguette.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Now we're talking.
No.
Especially if you also got some dried cranberries.
No.
Dried cranberries, caramelized pecans.
Nuts.
Chocolate.
Actually,
okay.
yeah, the best pecans.
Okay.
The best pecans are found in either pie form, which you can find just growing on trees down there in the south, or when they're covered in caramel and then covered in
caramel.
chocolate.
Okay, it's caramel.
Yeah,
caramel. Mount Caramel.
It's caramel.
Mount Caramel. Yeah.
Chocolate. Someone say chocolate. My favorite vegetable is chocolate.
Yes.
Sharon. Almonds are my best source of magnesium. No need to take supplements, which I am allergic. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's rough. By the grace of God, I am not allergic to magnesium, and I take magnesium supplement every night before bed. And actually, I don't mind the taste of it. It's the powdered form. I mix it in water. I actually don't mind the taste of it at all. The creatine, however...
You can use magnesium topically, too. You can get magnesium oil.
Yep.
Yeah, and it does absorb well. And then the other thing is that there's so many different compounds of magnesium that have different effects. Citrate helps you with regularity, muscle movement, so to speak, all those different things. But kidney stones, because I'm a sufferer, the best thing is potassium. That we are so low in our potassium in our diet these days. It's one of the minerals that has been so leached out of the soil that we're not getting it. And then if you don't eat grass-fed not grain-fed, but grass-fed meat, you're also deficient in some of those minerals. And that's why your wife is quite right about the organs. The organs are very concentrated in a lot of these microminerals and compounds. In fact, if you eat a cow from nose to tail, you pretty much don't need anything.
Exactly.
You don't need any supplements. Yeah.
Could you imagine? That's what the native population would do. They never wasted anything. They'd eat the organs too.
Well, the thing
is,
that's
we use for gelatin. Yeah,
that's what everyone used to do. It wasn't just the natives. Everyone used to eat every part of it because it was a pre-industrial society. You had to make use of everything you had, and so when in doubt, just chop it up and throw it in a sausage and fry it up, and you're fine. You
remember that? Do you remember the documentary? Not the original, but the remake of True Grit. Did you watch the remake of True Grit that came out maybe a decade ago?
Jeff Bridges, is it?
It's so good. That is so good. The dialogue is so great in that film. But there's a scene where they come across a man hanging from a tree. He had, I guess, someone hung him. I don't know. There's a dead body, and they recover him, and then like there's a negotiation over the dead body. You know, there was a stranger who wanted to negotiate for the dead body because he wanted to like take the teeth or do a bunch of things. You just reminded me about like how they would use these things for all kinds of different reasons. But I can tell you that there are places on planet Earth where this still is a thing. You can go to there's a province of China. I forget which one it's called now, but they're infamous for eating anything and everything, bugs and organs, and everything is alive at first, and then they eat it whole and entire. You know, frying entire ducks, you know, bill to tail, everything in between, whatever they can get, you know, just, you know, fish and snakes and just everything. They're just, you know, scorpions, whatever you want, they'll eat it all. There's no holding back.
No bugs, no reptiles.
I was just reading about century eggs yesterday.
Century eggs?
Yeah, century eggs. They're essentially like heavily pickled fermented eggs. You know, they literally turn like black and amber colored. And apparently they've got a very interesting, intense flavor.
Oh, I bet they do.
Yeah.
I bet they have a very intense flavor. I can just imagine. I'll have to take your word for it, though, because I don't plan on trying it. If you grind your own hamburger, you can sneak in the liver. Yeah, you could, sure. My wife's also given me, like, chicken livers on the side. I don't love the taste of it, to be honest. I'm not a liver king. I don't love it. I can take the pills, but I got to remember to take the pills, and I never remember to take the darn pills. Somebody mentioned chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. This is God's gift to humanity right there, James. Chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. Macadamia nuts are great for your health. They're a good fat. They're amazing. They taste wonderful. You can eat them 2, 3, 4 pounds at a time. Probably not. It's okay. And then, of course, if you put dark chocolate on them, then it's just like it's a superfood.
It's a superfood, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a superfood. You don't even need to have sardines at that point. You probably have omega-3s in there somehow, some way. I don't even know, but it's probably great for you.
Lark Song says, yes, bug lollipops. I can't tell if she's excited or disgusted.
Yeah, bug lollipops. You will eat the bugs.
Bugs
and
are
enjoy
poison.
Yeah.
Bugs are nasty.
Stick to ocean bugs.
But okay, listen, if you were hungry, right, you'd eat a bug. You'd eat bugs, no problem. If you were starving, you'd absolutely have grub worms.
There's other things to eat, though.
You know, like what?
There'd always be other things to eat.
Do you want to know one food you can have that, in fact, this is fascinating.
Oh, boy.
You know the show Lost?
Yes.
Is it Lost?
The documentary?
No. It's a reality show.
Oh, Survivor?
Is it Survivor?
Probably Survivor.
Maybe it's Survivor where they put these people in.
Lost was the movie.
Yeah. Lost was
I'm thinking about
series.
This is a reality game show where they put you in the wilderness and they have all these people trying to survive out there, and the one that goes the longest wins.
Yes.
Well, I know a guy who is paid by that show to train their contestants to prepare them for the game. And he's an expert in foraging and things like that. He told me they had to stop filming in certain locations because this one food source that nobody ever thinks about was plentifully available in those locations, which was a cheat because you could survive forever on it. And there was lots to go around. No.
Oh, we discussed this.
We did.
Yes.
Does anybody remember what it was? Alone? Was it Alone? Maybe it was Alone. Yeah, it might have been Alone, Liz. Does anybody remember what this one food source is? Blew my mind. I had never heard of this before, but there's a food source that I guarantee is plentiful, probably where you live right now in some way, shape, or form, that if you had to eat, you could and live forever. Nah, not forever. You can live on it.
Pine needles.
You're getting warmer. You're getting warmer.
The park?
Pine trees. Pine trees. The pine tree is apparently a wonderful survival food that native folks, pioneers, and many over the history have understood to be a survival food that you can always go to. So you can tear. In fact, they said native tribes would often take 6-foot length slivers of the bark off, and they did. So you would see entire forests with bark removed from these trees all the time because you could eat part. There's like the outside of the bark. Then there's you peel it back and there's a yellow, but then there's like a softer middle layer. That middle layer is where the water runs back and forth, and the nutrients for the tree go back and forth up to the branches. That layer can be eaten. Also, you got pine cones and pine needles.
Yeah, needles all are immense source of vitamin C.
Right,
make tea. You can make spruce beer.
Chew on them.
There's all kinds of things.
So apparently, the pine tree is an amazing source to survive off of. They say you have to get used to the taste of it all. But my mind was blown on that. But because pine trees were so plentiful in their filming locations in South America, they had to change it up so they had less pine trees because it was like a cheat code, and everybody could just live off of that. So I thought that was very, very fascinating. So, you know what? Try it. Stop going to the grocery store and just eat pine trees from now on. See how that goes. Termites? Cigar Mode wants to eat termites.
Yeah.
Moon pies? Does moon pie grow on trees?
It grows on the moon.
Moon pies. I haven't had a moon pie in decades, thankfully. Praise be to God.
Well, that's your problem, Joe.
Is that what my problem is?
Yeah. You had a moon pie first thing in the morning.
I got a lot of problems. I didn't realize that was one of them.
Moon pie, creatine, moon pie.
Yeah.
Yes, a creatine moon pie.
Put creatine in your moon pie. Yeah, there you go.
Man, who remembers college? You was like pounding on the Pop-Tarts.
Nope. See, that's the thing is I didn't grow up with all that garbage, so that's why I'm healthy and can eat all the
pies.
This is why I'm healthy and can eat all the sugar I want is because I didn't eat garbage like that growing up.
That's all I ate was garbage.
I know. That's the problem.
Man.
The problem's the garbage, not the sugar.
I ate so much of it. Joshua, good morning. Says I have many pines, also woodchucks. How much woodchuck could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's the question.
Yeah.
Are plentiful for
Let's go ask
added
Bucky's.
protein
That's a beaver, right?
in the diet. He's a beaver.
Yeah.
Beavers.
They keep expanding. I'm expecting to see one here in Buffalo within the next 5 years.
Beavers are tasty.
They're.
Oh, you meant Bucky's.
I meant Bucky's. Yeah.
Okay.
Just across the border in Canada, they have beaver tails.
Not surprised.
It's actually a pastry. It's actually a pastry loaded with all kinds of stuff. We got
the caribou, we got the moose, we got the beaver tail. It's great.
Take off.
Colin says I stopped eating pine trees after COVID. What? The question really, though, for you, Colin, is not that you were eating pine trees, is that you were wiping with pine trees. Because there was toilet paper.
Because the shortage. Yeah.
Speaking of that, you reminded me earlier, Edward, that you were talking about things that move the bowels. My grandma once said, an orange a day keep you regular. So there you go. Sage advice. Yep. God rest her soul.
And an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So
keeps the doctor away.
I mean, I know we're comparing apples and oranges, but
right.
Yeah.
Buddy K9 says JFK was going to dissolve the Federal Reserve. Is that why the CIA went after him? Is that what you're saying? Can I throw a parallel out there, buddy? Yesterday, Donald Trump said he refused to pressure Israel. And again, this whole being critical of Israel is a thing. Our guest tomorrow is going to talk about that. He worked in the Foreign Service of our government in Palestine for a number of years. And what we're going to talk about is why is it the policy of the United States government to refuse to criticize Israel over anything? He would talk about how American citizens would be detained and put into prison, and the United States would say nothing about it because it was Israel. It's bizarre, right? It's just bizarre. Also, notice Trump hasn't fired Powell. just all talk and no action. But that's the world we live in, I guess.
But I don't think he can. I think because it's a separate entity.
Because it's not a federal agency, right?
Pressure. Right, yeah. So it's,
it's just Trump
Andrew
being
Jackson
Trump.
was right about the Federal Reserve. It's a creature. It's not an entity.
A lot of good that did us, huh? Douglas says, Joe, oranges are too much sugar. Agreed. Totally agree. It's terrible sugar. Horrible for your
Anything
body.
is not enough.
How much?
Orange juice is so good for you.
What is the dosage that is required for sugar per day for you, Jake?
I'm not particular.
I stopped eating for 10 days once and now only had liquid. I juiced vegetables and fruits. I gained 15 pounds. Not good. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Just eat meat. That's the answer. Only have meat.
The thing is that, these things are particular to what problems a person has.
Oh,
there's no one size fits all, solution.
Alberto says totally disagree. Alberto's in your team apparently. Oranges are amazing.
Correct.
Orange juice is very tasty. I'll give it that.
And it is very good for you. But if you get fresh oranges, you're getting the orange juice and you're getting the other benefits of the orange.
Andrew says it's also interesting that Israel is a safe haven for wanted pedophiles. They refuse to extradite. That's interesting. Wonder why that would be. Which fruits, says Doug? Which fruits what? Was I juicing?
Yeah, that could have something to do with it.
Which ones was I juicing? I mean, all the good ones.
I've heard not great things in general about, the juicing diet type thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a sugar overload. Is real. I would have the fruit juice for breakfast.
No, I'm saying, well, I'm not saying because of that. I'm saying that the not eating anything at all and going on just a liquid juice diet is just not ideal.
Yeah, the best diet I've ever been on has been a carnivore. Hands down, not even a close second.
Well, that's because all the stress hormones make you feel great. That's why it's overloading your body and why you're having trouble.
Take all I want. This is great.
That's why it feels so good. It's because your body's desperately producing stress hormones to make you feel better.
I'll take it. Praise God. But it's also the 200 pounds I've dropped that's really been helpful.
Sure.
Zena, is the American Sovereign Wealth Fund the place our profit and tariff money are stashed? I don't know. But I don't know. I'm not going to see it. Do you guys think we're going to get who was it? It was the guy from Missouri that wanted to give refunds for the tariff, $600 whole that I'm going to have to then pay a tax on. That's great. $600 whole bucks. What am I going to do with that money? I don't know. By the way, is there anybody in the chat? Like, I'm rambling here in so many different directions, but I'm just curious. Is there anybody in the chat who is a day trader or does day trading? I'm considering dabbling in the day trading business. Let me know what your thoughts are there on that. Douglas says, Joe, you're in a good place for a carnivore diet. You mean Texas? Texas. Home of the beef cattle.
Only steers. Never mind.
What was it? I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
What was that?
It's steers and beers. Lone Star beer. Only steers and beers come from Texas. That's the line. That's definitely the line.
Is that the line?
Don't question it. That's the line.
That's the line.
Because a Lone Star beer. It's a famous local Texas beer, And Shinerbach. Good old Shinerbach. Yep.
Yeah, good old Shinerbach. Bob says Jake is just FOS when it comes to sugar and carbs.
I love how this guy's never been in our chat before and then comes in and is throwing this around. I'm like,
I don't even know what FOS means.
You're cruising for abandon, buddy.
I'm going to have to get AI to tell me what FOS means.
I figured it out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he's being pretty rude. It's
God, now I got it. So once you gave me the context, it popped straight in my mind.
As someone might say,
full of sugar.
That's
got it.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
That's full of
carbohydrates.
It's bold talk for a one-eyed fat man. Speaking of True Grit.
Full of sugar.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. Well,
he's lucky I'm being very tolerant with the band hammer today.
The banhammer has gone light. Colin Newbold says, I never weigh myself too objective. I just look in the mirror and say, oh, well, let's try again tomorrow. Really? I look in the mirror and I go, that humility looks so good. So humble. So nice.
So do we have to put up a Jake tolerance index for banning? Like, give people a scale.
That'd be great. Yeah. Let's have a meter so people know how much they're getting away with.
Bouncing meter. Like, does it?
Yeah.
This is a good idea. I like this. Yeah.
And it's just getting over to the banhammer side of things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Beverly says, Jake, I just bought my first Galway calf, but don't tell Joe because I won't let him eat it. Well, that's not nice, Beverly. I don't want to eat your calf anyway. Good grief. At least I'll wait till it becomes a cow. And then of course, we should discuss that. But the real thing is the hunting season is coming and I have nowhere to hunt. So if you guys have problems with deer, infestations, tearing up your yard, your gardens, and you need help, I'm your guy. Call me. Let me come and help out with the deer problem. Full Metal Jacket quote was radio gold, says Alberto. Deplorical is back. It says our cells essentially consume only one food, sugars. Okay, there's that banhammer option right there. I don't know that we can continue to support such fake news. Caleb Mechanics is headed to Mass. God love you all. God love you too, Caleb Mechanic. Thanks for being on the team and having such a potpourri type of conversation today. Sci-Fi says, I was a good weight. You were a good weight and you're no longer a good weight? Eating all that, what do you call it, garbage plates in Rochester, I'm sure is not good for you. Oh, man,
garbage plates. I haven't had one in a while. I'm going to have to meet up with Sci-Fi Mike to get one. I don't think my fiance has ever had a garbage plate. That's what I'll have to do. I'll have to, Sci-Fi Mike, if you're listening right now, I'll have to take Celine on a trip out there so we can show her a garbage plate.
Is that going to be a test of your relationship?
No. It's only going to improve things.
You should make sure to do that before the wedding so you know how that all goes.
Yeah.
You know what I really need, though, is I need to get a deer this year because I didn't get one last year.
Me too.
I need to get one this fall.
Me too.
Maybe this is the year, hopefully.
This weekend. Yeah. Ton of them.
The problem is you got to have a place to hunt. That's the downside. It's hard to come by in the state of Texas, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. As big as this place is, finding hunting spots is not easy.
Well, isn't everything just bought up in huge ranches and ranch land?
That's exactly it. Yeah, 100%. We do have public land, but because the ratio between public land and private land is so off in the state of Texas, public land is packed. So it's like crowded. The parking lots are full. And you're just like, oh, how am I ever going to be successful at this?
Yeah.
You are like in the same Houston National Forest where I have to go because it's the closest. One, there's a lot of hunters. Number two is it's dense, thick Mirkwood. And the deer could be 5 feet from you. You'll never even see them. They're just because it's so thick and nasty in there. It's really hard. People are successful there, but those are the guys that are like, they're scouting right now. They're hanging trail cameras right now, waiting for October and the archery season to hit. And I just can't. I don't have the time to go out there and do that kind of pre-season scouting and all of that. So the guys who work it really hard are the ones that are successful. The rest of us knuckleheads come back empty-handed and eat our tags for the season. Alaric says, at one point, I heard the state of Iowa had more deer than when the settlers first came. I believe that was even as late as 2003. Well, I volunteer to help with the problem. Call me. I'll come. Have gun, have bow, will travel. How about this idea? Meat-based vegetables. If we're going to have vegetable-based meats, why not meat-based vegetables? I like this idea, actually. This is good. How about a banana made out of bacon?
Yeah, why would you have, banana. But instead of a banana made out of bacon, why don't you have a peanut butter, jelly, bacon, and banana grilled sandwich? Why not have that? It
does sound tasty. Can I just be honest and just say that one of my favorite desserts is taking a banana in the peel, slicing it and stuffing it with chocolate and maybe a marshmallow.
There you go.
And then putting that on a grill.
There you go.
And you can wrap it in tinfoil because it will spill over.
Yeah.
But it's like having a sundae ice cream. It's so good.
That's great. That's great.
It is so
I used to
good.
make the most beautiful banana splits when I worked at the ice cream store. I was the banana split master, especially when it was hard ice cream instead of the soft serve. So you could put the little dollop of whipped cream on top of each scoop of ice cream, and then the little cherry on top of the dollop of whipped cream. These were the most cinematically perfect looking banana splits. I miss those days.
Too pretty to eat.
Yep, basically.
Guessing. They were just like works of art. Joe, what the heck?
What the
heck? Lisa says she's got 5 deer in her backyard every morning. Well, then you won't miss one of them.
Yeah,
You'll have
exactly.
4 when I've left.
No, this is the problem. They know.
Fair deal.
The deer know when hunting season is.
They're not dumb.
The deer are not as dumb as they appear to be when they stand in front of your car saying, huh? And then you run into them. You know?
That's so true.
They have that. Yeah. They have that. They look like Don Knotts is what they look like.
Yeah.
The deer walk into the road and they turn into Barney Fife and they're just staring at your car. Huh? It's just like, oh, come on.
I went hunting for wild hogs, in May of 2020. And because it wasn't deer season, we saw a lot of deer. And
Exactly.
they were like 10 feet from me.
Yeah, they're hanging out. They're like, you got anything to eat?
I'm just like, that is rude. Okay. Like come September, October, November, December, all of a sudden can't find you guys, or you were like run from me. But here I am standing here. Obviously I'm intimidating. I got a gun in my hand and you just look at me and just keep chewing. Like, how do they know the law? That's my question. How do they know what the season is? Somehow, some way they do.
It's got to be like the birds who know when it's time to fly south and all that, you know?
Is that right?
It must be that.
The Lord is so good and mysterious. He's put the hunting seasons in the instincts of animals. Alberto says, all the things you mentioned, banana, chocolate, etc., contain sugar. I know. I said I had to confess it. I mentioned that part before I said it all.
The only reason Joe's still around to be on the show this morning is because every so often he gives in and does that. It keeps his body going.
That's not true. Not true. I've had to step away from so many good things in life.
Lucky, I don't think Joe said that MREs were really healthy. I don't think anyone would say that. Would anyone ever say that?
If you want to be regular in your bowel movements, don't eat MREs.
Yeah, that's meals refusing to exit is what it stands for.
Exactly right. Yes. The MRE has one goal, and that is to load you up on calories.
Yes, exactly.
Why?
It's
Because you're going to be hiking with a 100-pound back on your back. You're going to have your M16, all your ammo. You're going to be in body armor. You're going to have a helmet on. You're going to be hot and sweaty, and they don't want you to die.
Yeah.
You got to have the energy to do those things.
It doesn't matter.
Give you
it doesn't matter what it is.
calories a day.
It doesn't matter what's causing the calories, what quality it is. It's just pumping you full of calories.
Which was hilarious because, like in the recruiter's office when I was a kid, you saw these posters of Marines, doing athletic things, and they would be a sports car in the back. Your body is this sports car, or whatever. And you're just like, you got to treat it well.
Yeah.
And then they feed you junk, and you're like, I'm confused.
It's a glorified school lunch with extra Pop-Tarts. That's what it is.
Exactly.
They definitely include motor oil in it, so it's
100%.
Are you kidding? All the seed oil,
Plastics.
lubricants? That's all just engine lubricant. That's all that is.
Plastics, GMO.
You're literally treating it like a sports car. You're right.
They just throw in all the goodies
break
in there.
down. It keeps you moving. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Hey, free healthcare too, by the way. Free healthcare.
Alan Newbold, you're right. The jalapeno cheese spread from U.S. MREs is pretty good, even though it's also really bad.
It's also not good for you.
It's interesting. Like other countries,
some cheese food.
Yeah, it's cheese. It's cheese product, cheese related product.
Well, yeah.
But the rations, when you look over at European military rations, it's hilarious the difference.
Where you've got good food.
You've got cans of pate. The French have a Christmas ration that they bring out that has a bottle of champagne.
That sounds like the Air Force, to be honest with you. They got sous chefs and just they got the meat station. They're like, what would you like today? Oh, lamb, no problem. Sure, let me get that for you. Yeah, sure. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't taste good. We have the recipes. They're not necessarily tasting bad. Even the ones that are gross are kind of good in a bad way. I had the
they just
fairly recently. I had the
and other stimulants.
Fairly recently, I tried the creamy spinach fettuccine MRE, and it was terrible. But you pour the entire pack of red pepper flakes on it, and then you crush up the horrible dry MRE cracker into it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you also dump the honey garlic butter pretzels into that, and you just mix that all up, and it almost tastes edible.
Yeah,
it was kind of tasty in a horrible, disgusting way.
It looks like as if
almost enjoyed it.
It looks like when a mama bird eats something and then throws it up.
Yes,
her
back
chicks.
to her. Yeah,
it's a lot like that.
Pretty much. Yeah,
it's a lot like that.
So.
Zena,
it's like those
tasty.
1960s. Those 1960s casserole dishes.
Oh, those are my
favorite. And dump of this.
Those are the best. It's like
it would sprinkle some stuff on it, put in the oven. What is it?
People were nuts because it was just like these like canning companies would just like find a new thing to stick in a can, and then people would be like, okay, I guess we got to come up with recipes for this new thing that's canned. So like, how do you make these? You know, it's like canned like parboiled artichoke hearts. Like without seasoning, so it's like how do we stick these in Jello? Let's see, you know,
gross.
But then
it's all very gross.
You also get the great Midwestern casserole cuisine out of that, where you get funeral potatoes and the classic green bean casserole. That stuff's it's pretty good. We have green bean casserole for Thanksgiving.
Just leave the Velveeta out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, government cheese is the way to go. Government. I mean, of course, it's not actually cheese. It's a form of plastic, but whatever. It tastes cheese-ish. It's in the cheese family, so it's something anyway. Sci-Fi says I was down in the dumps. I'm sorry, you were down in Drums, PA. I read that as Dumps, PA. Freudian slip, possibly. I'm not sure. Drums, PA. There was a neighborhood. Deer would walk around the yards and streets alongside people walking their dogs.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
There's a place in Moultonborough, New Hampshire. There's a place up there on Winnipesaukee they called it Deer Island. And I remember Michelle and I driving up there and whole herds of deer just all over the place. I'm like, don't people eat these things? I'm like, not around here, they don't. Clearly, because they run the show. And there's a lot of places like that in bigger neighborhoods, even here in Texas, where they feed them. Then they destroy all of their gardens or their flowers and all that other stuff. Plus, we have feral hogs, too, which makes it even harder. Guys, we're almost out of time.
I almost thought you said
today.
feral hawks for a second. I was like,
feral hawks.
Aren't all birds
You're not allowed to shoot a hawk.
feral?
You'll be fined and probably go to prison if you shot a hawk, I'm sure. But feral hogs. Darren says, I saw a deer on the streets in Grand Canyon. Yeah, buddy, I'm jealous. We've got deer here in the back of our neighborhood. I'm like, why do I have to drive an hour to walk around the woods for a day to never see anything, let alone kill anything, when there's deer right behind my neighborhood? Like, why can't I just go back there and kill one of them? Like, I don't understand. Help me understand. It doesn't make sense. Ticks. Zena says ticks. Yeah, ticks are a part of life, but you can eat them. They're protein. So if you collect enough of them, you can actually get like put it on a cracker or something. It might work out.
This is what the carnivore mindset leads you to, kids.
That's right. That's right.
Don't eat insects.
It's protein. You can eat. Yeah.
Don't eat insects.
Stick with shrimp.
Stick with the shrimp and mud bugs. Yeah, eat mud bugs instead, which is really just a lobster. After the Noah's flood
we have the recipes. I almost ran into a red-tailed hawk. He was sitting by the side of the road when we came around a corner, and he started taking off, and he was flying in the same direction as my truck. So I'm like jamming on the brakes, trying not to run into the poor guy. He's like, usually they're smarter than that, but
I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah,
I've hit birds that way, unfortunately, because they turned and tried to outrun me. I'm like, what
are
you doing?
Yeah, run the wrong direction. It's the same thing the deer. It's the same thing the deer do.
Oh boy. Christopher, good morning to you. Says MREs are calorie and sodium dense to provide high energy and water retention.
Yep.
Boy, do they ever. That's the one thing they got going for them. But I would say this, if you eat MREs, you need to drink a ton of water.
Yeah.
You got to, because otherwise you're going to get backed up. And when that dam breaks, you don't want that.
Yep.
Okay. Especially if you're going to be out hunting, hiking, camping. Out in the wilderness. By the way, who was it? Was it Doug? I forget who it was. put this bug in my mind about a men's retreat hiking the Appalachia. So I have actually started looking into that. And there are, so far I've found 2. I'm not done looking into it. There's a lot of work that still has to be done, but I have actually started the process of thinking about this. Mm-hmm. There are two spots that I think might be very interesting where we could do a 3-day hike as a group. One is in the Smokies, south of Knoxville, and the other one's in Virginia near Roanoke. And the thought would be, we get a group, priest comes with, we have mass and confession. We also do the office, all on the hoof, all while hiking. Not the mass, obviously. Get up in the morning, have mass, get about your day. But while we're hiking, do the office, prayers, and talks while hiking. That's the idea. But maybe come in on a Thursday, hike camp Thursday night, hike camp Friday night, hike camp Saturday night, go home Sunday, back to your families. That's the idea. Let me know if that's something that's interesting to you guys. I'm still working on all the details on how to make that happen. We'd have to have somebody on the team to move the van to the end, pick everybody up, that kind of thing. So, I don't know, but I think that'd be kind of fun. I'd love to do it. Let me know what you think. God bless you all. Edward Clancy again, thank you again. Really appreciate having you on the team. Thanks for the laughs, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.